It's the summer of 1916. The world is burning overseas. World War I tearing across Europe. But here, along the peaceful beaches of the New Jersey coast, life couldn't feel further from war. For Americans, the shore is freedom, a sanctuary. The new rail lines make travel easy, and for the first time, working families can afford weekend escapes. By June, thousands are pouring into towns like Beach Haven and Spring Lake. Kids play on the beach and in the surf, as parents lay soaking in the sunshine. The air smells like salt and sunscreen. No one has any idea that something else has come north that summer, something unseen, ancient, and hungry. Over the next 12 days, 4 people will die, 1 will barely survive, and an entire nation will come face to face with a terror it never believed could exist. This is the horrifying true story behind Jaws. On the evening of July 1st, 1916, the Ingleside Hotel in Beach Haven buzzed with life. Among its guests was 25-year-old Charles Van Sant, a successful stockbroker from Philadelphia. Before dinner, he decided to take a quick swim. The ocean was calm and golden under the setting sun. His dog, a Chesapeake Bay retriever, followed him down the beach, barking at the waves. From shore, guests saw Charles splashing, calling to his dog, and then they heard him scream. 2 lifeguards sprint from the boardwalk. They dove into the waves, cutting through the whitecaps toward him. When they reached the spot, the sea around Van Sant was red. Something has torn deep into his left thigh, severing an artery. They haul him to shore, the water behind them streaked crimson, carrying him up the sand, across the lobby tiles, each step leaving a bright trail of blood. Guests scatter, dresses lifted, mouths covered. Within minutes, Charles Van Sant is dead. Beach Haven fell silent. The story spread overnight, but few believe it. The papers call it a freak accident. Experts from the American Museum of Natural History assure the public there is no record of a shark attacking a human being in American waters. They told everyone the sea is safe. But 6 days later, that lie would bleed out too. July 6th, 30 miles north, in Spring Lake. At the Essex and Sussex Hotel, another young man, 27-year-old Charles Bruder, a Swiss bellhop, decides to take a swim before starting his shift at the hotel. Within minutes, the quiet afternoon erupts in panic. A woman on shore points and screams. Something is terribly wrong. 2 lifeguards slam a rowboat into the surf and climb aboard, oars biting hard, wood groaning. People on the beach fall silent, eyes fixed on a single point in the glittering blue. As the lifeguards reach him, the sea around Bruder is clouded red. They haul him up to the safety of the boats, and one of them freezes below the knees. There is nothing. Bruder's face was drained of color. He whispered, "A shark bit me," and took his last breath before the boat could make it to shore. The story spread like wildfire, but scientists still refuse to admit it. Dr. Frederick Lucas of the Museum of Natural History tells reporters it's physically impossible for a shark of the Atlantic species to harm a man. And yet, 2 men are dead. Tourism collapses. Beach towns empty overnight. Fear spreads and whispers begin. What if it really is a shark? 6 days later, the heat wave is unbearable. 20 miles inland, far from the ocean, the quiet town of Matawan sits along a winding, brackish creek that snakes through the woods. Here, people feel safe. The water is shallow, brown, almost still. A shark couldn't possibly survive here, or so they believe. Just after 2 in the afternoon, a group of boys, Lester Stilwell, Clayton Lemke, and a few friends are swimming near a rope footbridge. The water was low. The surface is like glass. Then one boy notices something. A dark shape gliding silently just beneath the surface. They laughed as they scared each other, thinking it's a log, until it turned. A flash of white, a burst of red. 11-year-old Lester Stillwell vanishes. The boys quickly fled the water, running to get help, sprinting into town, screaming, "A shark got Lester! A shark in the creek." At first, nobody believed them. But a 24-year-old tailor named Stanley Fisher rushed to the riverbank and dove in to find the boy's body. Minutes later, he surfaced, and in that instant, the water exploded. The shark hit him with brutal force, tearing through his thigh. Men on the bank rushed to pull him out. He's still alive, but barely conscious. They rushed him to the hospital. Doctors tried to stop the bleeding as he fought for his life. He bled to death at the hospital that night. Half an hour after the first attack, farther downstream near Cliffwood, 14-year-old Joseph Dunn was climbing a dock ladder when something grabbed his leg. Nearby, neighbors hear his screams and rush to the river, pulling him from the water by his arms to safety. He survived, and he would be the only survivor of that summer. By sunset, 4 people are dead, 1 injured. Reporters give the creature a name: the Matawan Man-Eater. Hundreds of men line the bridges with rifles, spears, and harpoons. The quiet creek had become a battlefield. The story consumed the nation. Jersey terror spreads. Monster of the deep strikes again. Even President Woodrow Wilson was briefed. For the first time in US history, a sitting president discussed shark attacks. Fishermen from Cape Cod to Delaware converge on New Jersey. They baited meat hooks, hung nets, even threw dynamite into the sea. Then, on July 14th, a taxidermist and circus lion tamer named Michael Schleiser hauls in a 7.5-foot great white shark in Raritan Bay, just miles from Matawan Creek. It took 2 men, a broken oar, and a revolver to kill it. When Schleiser cut it open, he found 15 pounds of human remains, flesh, bone, and a piece of a hip. Confirmed by medical examiners, the press declared victory. The man-eater is dead. The hysteria ended as suddenly as it began. The beaches reopened. The tourists returned, but not without fear of the water. Behind the headlines, a quiet argument began, one that still divides scientists today. The shark Schleiser caught was a great white. It made sense. Huge, powerful, capable of tearing a man in half with 1 bite. But there's a problem. Great whites can't survive in fresh water, and Matawan Creek lies 11 miles inland. So how did a great white get there? Some scientists believed it didn't. They suspected another species, smaller, meaner, far more adaptable, the bull shark. Bull sharks can regulate salt in their bodies, allowing them to swim up rivers and live in lakes. They've been found hundreds of miles inland, even in the Mississippi River. They're notoriously territorial and aggressive, responsible for more attacks on humans than almost any other species. The evidence suggested something chilling. Maybe there wasn't 1 shark that summer. Maybe there were 2. A great white haunting the coast, and a bull shark moving up the creek. A perfect storm of predators. Sharks rarely target humans, so why did this happen? The answer may lie in the conditions of that year. The summer of 1916 was one of the hottest on record. The Atlantic waters warmed unusually early, drawing fish and the predators that fed on them closer to shore. At the same time, World War I had filled the ocean with blood and waste from naval traffic along the East Coast. The water was murky, filled with debris and noise. Visibility was poor, and with so many swimmers crowding the beaches, the distinction between prey and person blurred. Experts now believe several factors collided. Rising temperatures pushed sharks north. Overfishing depleted their food sources. Pollution clouded the water, and once the first human was bitten, The scent of blood sealed the pattern. In short, confusion turned into hunger. Hunger turned into a habit, and the habit turned deadly. By July 1916, the sharks of New Jersey weren't just curious, they were hunting. When the attacks ended, America's relationship with the ocean changed forever. Before 1916, sharks were little more than curiosities, barely studied, rarely feared. After that summer, they became the stuff of nightmares. The first serious shark research programs began at Woods Hole and the Smithsonian. Coastal towns installed nets and watchtowers. And for the first time, people realized something humbling. We were not the masters of the sea. 55 years later, a young writer named Peter Benchley came across those old newspaper clippings. The hysteria fascinated him how quickly science had crumbled into fear. He began to write a novel about a seaside town that ignored the warning signs until it was too late. That book was called Jaws. When Steven Spielberg adapted it for film in 1975, he brought those fears back to life. Mechanical sharks broke down. Scenes had to be improvised, so Spielberg filmed from the shark's point of view, letting the audience's imagination fill the dark water. That creative limitation made the movie unforgettable. When Jaws premiered, people screamed and swore they'd never swim again. It stoked fear of water you couldn't see the bottom. It became the first true summer blockbuster. But beneath the Hollywood legend was the true story of a real killer that stalked New Jersey in 1916. Today, we know sharks aren't monsters. They're survivors, ancient, intelligent, and essential to the ocean's balance. But the fear never fully went away, because deep down, we remember what happened that summer. We remember that for 12 days the ocean turned against us. And even now, more than a century later, no one can say for sure what kind of shark it really was or what truly drove it inland. Some say hunger, others say confusion, and some believe it was something more primal, the ocean reminding us that we don't belong there. 4 dead, 1 survivor, a nation's innocence gone in 12 days. The 1916 New Jersey shark attacks remain one of the most chilling, unexplained events in American history. And the next time you step into the surf and feel something brush against your leg, remember Jaws wasn't born in Hollywood. It was born here, in the murky, brackish waters of Matawan Creek, where something unseen once hunted and fed. That was the horrifying true events that inspired Jaws. A story of blood, denial, and the ocean reminding us who really rules it. If you think that was terrifying, wait until you hear the real story that inspired The Exorcist. Click the video on screen and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.